In Mkhaimar Abusada, who's in Cairo. He's a professor of political science at Azhar University and in Gaza. He joins me now live on the line. Welcome to you, Professor. I want to start with a quote of Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday to Congress. He said, and he was paraphrasing, I believe, Winston Churchill in this comment, "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job faster." Basically, give us more bombs and we'll end this war quicker. But Netanyahu, as I understand it, he's asking for bombs and more weapons. That's a big part of his visit. These are not defensive weapons, though, are they? It's not that Israel is currently under any kind of attack. There's no substantial threat to itself as a state. America, well, the president, Biden, says that he wants the conflict to end. If Israel's not under threat, why not just not give them the weapons? Surely that's the way to go.
Many thanks for hosting me. Let me start by quoting what the ex-Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, just said, commenting on this speech by Netanyahu yesterday, that by far this is the worst speech by a foreign leader at the U.S. Congress. In addition to that, many Israeli leaders, the opposition, have criticized Netanyahu for not bringing the issue of a deal for a ceasefire or bringing Israeli hostages back home. Now, Netanyahu has also distorted truth, made many lies about what happened on October 7th, speaking about slaughtering Israeli children and raping women. That has not been documented, and there is nothing to even document that. In addition to that, speaking about the Israeli army as the army with most morals in the world. All of these are lies, distorted truth, and now he's asking the American for more bombs. It seems for me that it's not enough for Netanyahu to kill roughly 40,000 people so far in the Gaza Strip. Most of them are children, women, and civilians, and injuring around 90,000 people, meaning that 6% of the 2 million people in Gaza are either killed, missing, or injured as a result of this Israeli bombardment and destruction. And unfortunately, Netanyahu is asking the Americans for more bombs and more ammunition to kill more Palestinians and to cause more damage to the civilian Palestinian population.
Professor, I'm just going to ask it as bluntly as this. Why doesn't Joe Biden say no more? We're not giving you any more. We've seen the dead children. We've seen the dead women. We're not giving you any more bombs. Why doesn't that happen?
That is a very good question. We hope that the U.S. president will say no to Netanyahu's request. But unfortunately, the media machine in the U.S. and the U.S. system is in a way influenced very much by a Jewish group or an Israeli lobby called IPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, which very much influences U.S. foreign policy toward Israel and influences American elections. We hope again that the U.S. will say no, but this is an election year. The president would like to keep his, even though he has said that he's not going to run, but he would like to keep to see his Democratic Party in office. And they cannot say no to the Israeli lobby. They cannot say no to those who give money to candidates and give a lot of support. So that is one of the reasons why the U.S. president, unfortunately, he's not going to say no. And let me just say one more thing. The president has stated many times that he is a Zionist, and he doesn't have to be Jewish in order to be Zionist. So he favors Israel. He loves Israel. And it seems to me that he's willing to do whatever it takes to give Netanyahu and the Israelis whatever they want to cause more killing and more destruction on the Palestinian people. And one last thing, at the end of the day, the U.S. president, the U.S. Politicians are complicit in this catastrophe that the Palestinian people are facing in Gaza.
An increasing number of nations are now saying we recognize a Palestinian state and we think that the only solution is a two-state solution. Increasingly, countries are becoming tired of the bloodshed. They want it to end. They're saying two-state solution. Netanyahu said yesterday that Israel would have to retain security control of Gaza after the war. Now, that's not two states, is it? If one of the states doesn't control its own security. So what we've heard there is Benjamin Netanyahu say there's not going to be a two-state solution, isn't it?
Look, we all know that Netanyahu is an ideologue person. He belongs to the right radical political parties, the Likud party in Israel. Let me just remind you and remind you, the viewers, that Netanyahu was against the Oslo Agreement, which was signed between the government of Israel and the PLO back in 1993. And he was against Oslo, and he incited against the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, who signed that agreement. And Netanyahu is willing to do whatever it takes to prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state. He still believes that all of historic Palestine, from the river to the sea, belongs to the, as he called it, the ancestor to his ancestors, or to the Jewish people. It seems to me that there is no logic and with his arguments. But look, at the end of the day, unfortunately, there is an Israeli public who, to some extent, supports him, support the Likud party. And I think that this is the responsibility of the international community to stop Netanyahu, to impose a political solution on Israel on the basis of UN General Assembly Resolution 181 and also UN Security Council resolutions, which basically consider the Palestinian occupied territories as occupied territories, West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. And this is the responsibility of the international community to put an end to this Israeli occupation, to put an end to this Israeli apartheid system that exists in the West Bank, and to stop Israel from killing and destroying the life of the Palestinian people, whether in Gaza or the West Bank.
Professor, thank you for your time. My guest, Professor Mkhaimar Abusada, Professor of Political Science at Azhar University.